What you doing, Otaku? I'm the AC, and this week I read a whole bunch of manga. Well, four different manga to be exact. And these include Count Fujiwara's Suffering, um, Become You, Volume 2 of Fairy Tale's 100 Year Quest, and the 10th volume of Platinum End. So, just a disclaimer before I talk about any of these will be spoiler heavy if you care about that stuff. And it's not going to be just a simple review of like if you should or shouldn't buy it. You should buy it. You should always buy manga. Everyone should buy manga because manga's great. And even if it's not the best, there's always something to enjoy from it. Whether it be the art, the story, just some characters, just little things. I always find something to enjoy, which is why I do these. Um, I just like to talk about manga in general because there's always something I enjoy. But let's start with the one that came out earlier in the year. All these have came out in the past few months, but back in August, Count Fujiwara's Suffering. Um, it's a collection of the three volumes of the series. Um, it's the longest of the four I read, but it may be the least I have to talk about. Okay, so I really like it because the entire thing is based off of a cat. There's a cat named Count, a male calico of 5 years, which they introduce, in almost the same way in almost every chapter. But overall, the main story is about these two sisters. One is Shizuka, who is a shut-in, a 16-year-old live streamer who gets either absent-mindedly raunchy a little bit or just, I don't know. She loses her clothes a lot. And it's not always sure if it's intentional or not, or she's just easily persuaded by those watching her live stream. And then there's a younger sister, Yumiko, who's a rebellious middle schooler, but who has a huge sister complex. So, like I said, the manga takes place from the perspective of the cat, but the cat Count, he, it's more like his perspective is a human from a cat's point. So he completely acts human, even though he's supposed to be a cat. He understands what people write. He completely understands everything they say, even though the other people can't understand him. And he's also like very like critical of these girls. He's not like he is always trying to protect them because he realizes how I guess flawed they are or how weird they are. So I had the same like understanding. Anytime he freaks out, I was freaking out too. And it's like, oh, you're about to lose your clothes, cover that up. I was like, you're a high school girl, you shouldn't be doing that. Blah blah. So he's very protective of these sisters. But yeah, it's kind of there's really not much that makes him seem like he's thinking like a cat. It really does just seem like he's thinking like a human. There's some other weird moments. Happen a few times in it. They like the author or creator of this manga, Mahito Aobi. Um, and it's funny, but they like to make lewd scenes with the cat. Don't know why. It is funny, but it's also a little weird. It's a bit. It's not even like it's a cat person. It's just a straight up cat, either in bondage or getting molested with tentacles and dancing on poles, stuff like. Those are things that happen. It's weird. But yeah, the manga's more episodic. There's not really a continuous story throughout. There's, other girls. There's another girl that has a crush on the younger sister. Then there's an who also has a cat which kind of rivals Count and thinks it's Fenrir of Norse mythology. There's a whole bunch of like kooky, fun stuff. So it's a nice read, and it's kind of long. It's always nice. I always love these omnibus collections because you get to have the whole series in one book. Yeah, but that's it for that one. Like, there wasn't any, like, outstanding things. It's just another funny little slice of life perspective of a cat kind of manga. Moving on to something a little more serious and something that caught me by surprise. I originally didn't plan on looking at this one, but I just found it yesterday, even though it came out in September. And it's Become You by Ichigo Takano. If you know this name, he also did the manga Orange. Now, I will say, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Orange anime. Haven't read the manga, only saw the anime. Because I personally don't like stuff that is like really serious and really deep and heavy. Without some kind of balance of humor or comedy. I like it when there is that situation, you know, so through, but it's not like just outright and that's it. I don't know, Orange, if I'm being like really like an asshole about it, it kind of annoyed me. I don't know. Anyways, this one is not as um, emotionally invested yet, because the characters are a lot more lighthearted. Um, and I'm assuming if I read the Orange manga, I would have enjoyed that a lot better. I typically always enjoy the manga better than the anime, but this one's great. Also, it's about music, and weirdly, this is somehow only the second slice of life music manga I've read. The first one being Fuka, which I actually really loved. But this one's good too. And it also reminds me of another anime that came out over the summer called Given. Except for this one is also better because it's also more lighthearted. Given was fine. Um, you know, but that one focused a lot more on the relationships than music. I wouldn't say this one's super music invested, but it's good. So what is this about? This is about a high school student. He was a painter. His name is Tayo, but apparently his painting instructor didn't like the way he painted, and he ended up quitting to become a musician. Then he meets someone named Hikari, who was a piano prodigy, who for some reason quit playing piano, and these two meet. Tayo was already in a band, but they quit to focus on school, so he's finding more people. He runs into Hikari. He's like, hey, join my band. He won't play anymore, but then he's like, okay, just teach me. You know, a little bit back and forth. Eventually, he agrees to help him learn, and you know, they get a little close or whatever. But the interesting thing, and not surprising thing because it happens a lot, is they both happen to be fans of each other. Hikari was a fan of Tayo's painting, and Tayo was a fan of Hikari's piano playing. The other interesting thing, which I'm looking forward to finding out the significance of, is they both have hurt their left hands in some way. Tayo hurt his by taking a knife from his teacher who was trying to cut up his painting. Hikari hasn't said yet how or why his hand is hurt. I am thinking it's something psychological. Uh, Maybe not, but you know, left hand's important in music. So, no, I don't know. That's one of the things that intrigued me the most. It was like they both hurt their left hands. I don't know what that's supposed to mean yet, but I'm looking forward to it. And in the end, payoff at the end of the manga, Tayo's doing a little performance, and he uh, finally got Hikari to play with him. I'm glad they did that right away in this first manga. They didn't drag it out too much, because there's just some stuff, and there's emotional reasonings behind it, which I'm sure we'll find out in the next volume, which won't come out till next year for some reason. Um, but yeah, I don't like when stuff gets put off for too long. I like when there's some development at least a little bit right away. Now, there's one other aspect of this manga, and it's Taiyo's friend Sakura. Um, they don't flat out say it, but they make it seem like Taiyo has a crush on Sakura, but he never says it. Uh, Sakura says she has a boyfriend, but Taiyo thinks she's not happy with him. Uh, and man, this is just me theorizing and what I would like to see. What I want to see is um, Sakura actually has a crush on Taiyo, but Taiyo never actually reciprocates the feeling back. I think, he just is really protective and really good friends with her, but he doesn't have any emotional investment. He's just really protective. She's actually wants to be with him, but, she doesn't. Because what I think could probably happen is this turn into a boys' love, and then Taiyo and Hikaru would be a couple. I don't know. We'll see what happens. That's just a theory. I don't know. I mean, that's also kind of what happened. Not really. It kind of what happened in Given. It was a boys' love. It was fine. Um, but yeah, that is Become You. It's also great because it's based off of a song, and they even give the lyrics to the song in the back of the book. It's really interesting. Now, to the next one, which the next two I'm going to talk about were the original intent of why I was making this video. It was really just going to be 2 volumes. Second volume of Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest. When I found the first volume over the summer, I didn't realize they did a sequel series. It's really cool. It's stories still by Hiro Mishima and with art by Asuo Ueda. But this one, I really like Fairy Tail. I only watched the anime. But this manga I was really excited for. But this volume I was less pleased about. And I mean, at this point, there's all kinds of tropes and things that happen. It's to be expected. For some reason, every time I'm surprised it doesn't get changed. Like, it's fine, whatever. But what disappoints me the most is in one volume, Natsu and everyone else, they get easily, very easily defeated by the Dragon Eaters. The Dragon Eaters spares them, even though they, make it seem like they're these badass, like no mercy people. So of course that gives them a chance to recuperate right away, and then they easily beat the Dragon Eaters. And it's like, it's such a quick turnaround. It's like there wasn't any development. There was no reason they should have somehow easily beat them right away. I don't know. It was weird. The kind of, I wouldn't say gut wrenching, kind of displeasing to see is Erza being used as like a little pet by one of the Dragon Eaters, which is, I mean, to be expected. It's not like they're taking it easy, but then she breaks free from that. It's everything good keeps happening because they're the main characters, whatever. I don't know. I want to see more development and more reason why they was able to easily beat it. I mean, I still enjoyed reading it. It's not like I'm saying it's bad, but it's like at this point, you can do something unexpected. Um, but there were other interesting things. In the end, you find out Gajil was right when it comes to Talca. She, of course, is the White Mage. They end up being able to restrain her, and it turns out the White Mage and Talca are 2 separate personalities in the same body. So, there's the White Mage who wants to just white out everything, and Talca, he just, I don't know, she has an agenda, but she's, resists the White Mage. So Jalal finally catches her. Jill helps, and then while they're questioning her or whatever, somehow she breaks free easily, and it doesn't show how, but it shows at the very end. She pretty much just wiped out all of the Fairy Tail guild. And I was like, okay, well that would have been a cool thing to see, but I don't know, they do that so you can't see how strong they actually are until they fight the main group. But what was another thing that bothered me is it says the white mage stole Xinjun's, the water dragon, power, and it makes you assume it meant his magic and all that stuff. And I feel like it's a little bit of backpedaling, but, or, I don't know, a plot hole or something, but apparently she didn't steal his actual magic power and stuff. She just stole his control. I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Because at the end, he breaks out full dragon mode, and that's where it leaves off. So apparently, so I assume that's where the next volume's going to pick up, is them trying to fight and figure out how to deal with him, because they don't want to kill him, but he's wreaking havoc and all this. I sound negative about it. I really enjoy it. It's just, when you read something for so long, and you enjoyed the series, and stuff still isn't getting mixed up as much as you want to see, or there's stuff like plot holes, you get, whatever. The one thing I did like, and also didn't like, is Brandish just shows up to help, just out of nowhere. It's like, just randomly. I don't know if she plays any bigger part in it later, or if it, is actually justified while she's there. But the part about that I did like is she tells us what the rest of the Alvarez Spriggan 12 is doing, the ones alive at least. So that was interesting enough for her to be there. It still just seemed like, why are you here though? What a coincidence. Coincidences. They always get me. Like, they're always such good time coincidences. Whatever. Okay. So, the one that came out most recently is Platinum End, Volume 10. For some reason, I don't know why, I keep wanting to call it Platinum Edge. Even when I went to go get the book, I asked for Platinum Edge and they had no idea what I was talking about. And he had to correct me. But, if you don't know what it is another story by Sugumi Oba and Takeshi Obata. If you don't know who they are, you might know the work Death Note and Bakuman. Two of my favorite series, especially Bakuman, is probably one of my all-time favorite series, both the manga and the anime. But, as typical of them, there's great art, long dialogue, and this one especially, there's a whole lot of dialogue. So what this volume is about is they are wanting to gather up all the remaining god candidates so they can have a discussion and vote on who's going to be the next god, because they've done all this fighting, everything, whatever. So they've located another one. His name is Shuji Nakaomi, and his character is a bit wishy-washy, meaning he talks a lot about suicide, which of course is, pretty much the whole theme of this. But I don't know if I'll say obsessed, but he sees it as a good thing. And that's about as far as I'm going to go into the suicide discussion, because I'm not a certified person that should be talking about that stuff. But I'll just leave it at that. He thinks suicide can be good, but the reason he doesn't actually commit suicide is because he doesn't want to bother other people. So he doesn't want to be a bother to people, but he thinks people should be able to commit suicide if they want to, and all this stuff. So a lot of this volume is actually discussions with him. And of course, Mirai, he disagrees. He thinks everyone should have hope and happiness, which, yeah, people should. The other part of this volume is they go and rescue Yuri Tamari. She's the woman who's social media obsessed, and besides that, you really don't know much more about her. But yeah, they get her out pretty easily. That wasn't any surprise. They do it pretty quickly, efficiently. So they finally get 5 together. They have one more left. They agree, and this is where it actually takes a little turn. So Nakami doesn't want to be bothered. He doesn't want to bother anyone, and somehow, through them talking and discussing who should be the next god of the candidates, they agree that he should be the next god, and which was a weird turn, because it makes it seem like Mirai was going to be the next one. And I don't know. It was interesting. It was an interesting thing to see. It's a whole lot of discussion and everything. But yeah, I don't know. That still might change. Something might still happen because they revealed the last god candidate. Their angel is the angel of destruction. So conflict's not over yet. Um, you also still can't even trust all these other god candidates yet either. But it turns out the last god candidate is uh, some kind of professor. He seems obsessed with trying to figure out or like expose the angels and the god candidates. Trying to figure out how all that works because he's this scientist, professor, person. But yeah, it kind of just leaves off there. Um, yeah, without talking about suicide, there's not much because that is really all this is. It doesn't do it in a depressing way, but it's definitely almost the entire volume. That's all they talk about multiple times. It keeps being bring up pretty much any time when Nakomi is involved. But yeah, those are the manga I've read this week. We'll see what manga I read later because I'm always reading manga because it is awesome. But yeah, have you read these yet? Are you going to read them? Have you even started any of these series? I highly recommend them because, like I said at the beginning, I recommend all manga. But yeah, if you haven't read these, what have you been reading? What is interesting? What should I read next? I read a lot, but there's still stuff I miss. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed me just rambling on about the random manga things. Thank you for watching. I'm the AC. Bye.